It's a mini. It's a mini.
Oubliette minisodes.
Hello and welcome to Movie Oubliette's bonus minisode coverage of TIFF. I am here with Joe.
Hello.
And we are going to be talking about a couple of films because one of the things that we notice during these festivals is maybe it's just because we see so many movies, you start to spot patterns. And this year, one pattern that I spotted, or both of us spotted, is that a lot of people are locking children in basements.
Yes, yeah. And if you want to expand it to just people, we could even go beyond just the two films we're talking about.
We could, yeah. There's a lot of unlawful trapping people in basements. There are two British films that we'll be talking about. One is called Good Boy. It's directed by Jan Komasa, who is an Academy Award nominated director whose work I have not come across prior to now. And it stars Anson Boon as a 19-year-old British teen.
Hooligan.
Yeah, I don't want to use words like chav because they have sort of derogatory class aspects to them. But we see him in the opening of this movie on his average night out.
Yes.
And he is taking drugs, trying to force other people to take drugs. Mm-hmm. He is having sex with a girl in the street, much to the chagrin of somebody who I think is his girlfriend.
Yes.
He's pissing in a bus stop. He's masturbating in a woman's toilet. He is vile. And as he is staggering home, he is abducted by Chris, played by Stephen Graham, Andrea Riseborough as the icily catatonic Kathryn. That's the mum and dad in this arrangement. There is also a young boy called Jonathan. Also, they hire a woman from Macedonia called Rena to clean the house under an NDA. So those are our characters in this incarceration story.
Yeah, so basically this family has abducted this boy, and initially I think you're meant to assume they have some kind of vendetta against him. You know, they've been watching him. There's an absent feeling in the house. You know, at one point we move him from the cellar to an upstairs bedroom and he asks who lived in this room before me, and you think maybe they've done this before or they've experienced some kind of loss, and part of the joy of the film is figuring out exactly what is going on. But ultimately why I loved this movie so much is because it really is almost uninterested in those elements of the film. Like, this is a soft thriller at best because you can anticipate that there's going to be an escaped attempt, that someone is probably going to come across Tommy in the house at some point and maybe try to help him or alert the authorities. But really, the crux of the film is that this family wants Tommy to be a good boy. They want him to learn and grow as an individual, but also to become part of their family.
Yes. And it isn't exploitative. We're not going to see long scenes of torture.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, you know, get the kid in line because obviously he does not take kindly to being shackled in the basement, but it's not torture porn in any sense of the word.
No, they are much more trying to be very reasonable with him.
Yes.
Trying to get him to empathize. Mm-hmm. I think they play a masterstroke by having a family movie night where he is there shackled alongside the rest of the family holding a bucket of popcorn, which is
very darkly funny.
Yeah, signature image from the movie. And they get him to watch Kes.
Yes.
Which is a working class classic in the UK about a young boy that befriends a hawk, I think. Spoilers, it dies, and it's very upsetting. So it activates Tommy's empathy, and then they start showing him his social media videos, or maybe they're videos he hasn't posted. They've just videos that him and his friends have taken of the way that he behaves.
Right.
Which includes bullying and assaulting people on the street.
Property damage, all sorts of terrible behavior. So they're essentially trying to encourage him to understand that he has a role to play in society and he can choose which direction he wants to take. But I think part of it is also, like, in some ways, this is a soft detox because he isn't allowed to partake in drugs and alcohol. And then Kathryn really takes an interest in intellectually stimulating him by getting him to read a bunch bunch of classic books.
Yeah, which he really gets into. He starts with some Ray Bradbury, the illustrating man, and slowly but surely goes through the classics, which is quite interesting.
Yeah.
What's more interesting, if you're not going to get something that's salacious, is getting to know this family.
Yes.
And getting to know the dynamics. Because it's a fantastic cast.
Yes.
Stephen Graham is excellent as always as Chris, who is quiet and reasonable and not threatening in a particularly paternal way. You have Andrea Riseborough's Kathryn as the mother in mourning, but seems to be the focus of power.
Yeah. It's interesting because initially it seems like she's not going to get much to do because she is almost the British woman in the attic who just sort of walks around in the white nightgown, and you think, oh, is she just going to be a bit catatonic for most of this film? Because that's a huge misuse of Andrea Riseborough. But no, she actually, you're right, becomes almost the dominant figure. The more that we start to open Tommy up to who he can be, she becomes much more of the driver in helping him to not just acclimatize, but kind of thrive.
Yeah, which is fascinating to watch.
Yeah.
Because when you first see Jonathan, their youngest in the house, who seems very, very eager to please and be a good boy and do the right thing. So you're wondering, is this somebody who's full-on Stockholm syndrome?
Right. Yes. I wondered if they had actually abducted him as well. And he's so naive and idealistic. I was actually worried that Tommy was going to try to befriend him and then use him to escape. And I will say it feels like the film anticipates or understands that we're going to have certain expectations given the plot, and then actively looks to say, we're not going to do that. So what you think is going to happen most of the time doesn't actually occur. And I was so appreciative of that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. So I spent the whole film really uncomfortable and fascinated.
Yes. Yeah. And just really gripped by the drama of it. Like, I really think that this is more of an actor's film. I mean, I think it's incredibly well directed and well written, but like, you just get to sink and live in these performances. And that's what I ended up taking away, is how much I enjoyed the family drama.
Yeah. And it has the perfect ending in the sense that it is unexpected,
but also the only logical
way
to finish the film. Yeah. Which I did not think the movie was going to have the balls to do.
Very, very good. Highly recommended.
Yes.
If this sounds like your jam, then please do seek it out. I do think it has a release date for later this year. Okay. So it is coming soon.
So it's very different in tone, Conrad, from the other film that we're going to talk about, which is Bad Apples, which is directed by Jonathan Etzler. And this is written by Jess O'Kane and based on a novel by Rasmus Anderson. And it stars Saoirse Ronan as Maria. She is a primary school teacher in the UK. She has moved to this small town with her boyfriend, who has since broken up with her and taken up with another woman. And so she's desperately just trying to be a good teacher. And everything would be going Maria's way, except for the fact that she has a character, let's call him, in her classroom. This is Danny, played by Eddie Waller. And this child is an absolute nightmare, to the point where Maria is at risk of losing her job because he assaults another student in her classroom. And we basically get into an evening altercation that no one sees, where Danny ends up briefly unconscious. Maria packs him into her car and plans to take him to the emergency room, but he says, I'm going to tell everyone what you did. You're going to lose everything, blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to her locking this child in her basement. And then, not unlike Good Boy, we start to re-educate him, but I would say that this is quite different tonally in terms of this is an extremely dark satirical comedy.
It is, yes, and it is wickedly funny. It delights in how sharply satirical it is.
Yeah, like offensive, but in all the best possible ways.
Yes, and Saoirse Ronan underplays it so beautifully. Yes. I mean, she's amazing. I don't think I've seen her in anything
She's never
is
bad.
tonally.
Oh, yes. No, I would agree with that. Yeah, it's not a departure because she is so perfect for it, but also you wouldn't expect her to play a character like this.
No, absolutely not. Of course, what happens is that everyone's lives improve.
Yes.
Her class gets better. They have an Ofsted inspection that goes very, very well.
Yep.
She gets cited as Teacher of the Year or something along those lines. The kids in her class all blossom.
Yep.
And as well as that, Danny gets the one-on-one tutoring and, more crucially, I think, the attention that he really needs. And he starts to improve as well.
Yep.
So when it comes to a point where, of course, inevitably all of this has to come out and the whole thing has to come crashing down, we get to a crunch point for everyone involved where people make some surprising decisions.
I do indeed, yes. And maybe we'll cap our non-spoiler conversation about the films there.
Yeah.
Because this is a strong recommend. Like, this pairing of Good Boy and Bad Apples for me were actually highlights of the festival.
Yeah.
There were some solid films, but it was a lot of kind of, yeah, that was okay, or that was decent. And both of these films, I walked out just, yeah, these are good movies, really enjoyable movies.
They were. And the fun thing is that we didn't even think we'd get into this one because it was immediately after the previous one.
Yep.
So we ran out of Good Boy and immediately got in line for this one and managed to sneak in.
Yeah.
And it was, my pleasant surprise of the festival.
For sure. Okay, so obviously we're recommending this and would encourage folks to go and seek it out before you listen to anything more. But Conrad, can we just talk about the audacity of the ending of Bad Apples?
Absolutely, yes. It's a pivot point that I will never forget, and it's just one line, and it begins with somebody standing up in a meeting and saying, "As head of the Parent-Teacher Association," and the whole audience just erupted because we knew exactly where the movie was going to go, which is everyone entering into a conspiracy to leave things as they are with Danny locked in the basement.
Yeah.
Because it was better for everyone else's lives if he was there, which is terrible, shocking,
awful,
and a terrible indictment of where we are as a society. And what I love about the movie is it's taking very, very clear aims at the root cause of the problems that all of these characters are facing.
Yes.
And it's not the expected culprit.
Yeah, I mean, there's an S in the title because it's not a bad apple. It's bad apples, right?
Yes.
Like, there's a lot of contributing factors. And I really enjoyed, just to keep an apple metaphor going, that the more you sort of peel back some layer on this, you realize Danny is really just the inciting incident. So you think you have an understanding that it's this shitty, awful kid who is just ruining it for everybody. But then you come to discover that the little girl who seems to be the perfect student in Maria's class is just as deceptive and manipulative, right? Like, she starts to blackmail her teacher, in part, I think, because she's a little bit queer, but also because she wants to be the perfect student. So she starts to blackmail Maria when she discovers that Danny is in the basement. And then, when things start to unravel and these parents discover it, you realize, they're just as bad. Like, they're not good citizens, even though they are actively thinking about, okay, we benefit, all of us collectively benefit from this little boy being gone. But also, in order to keep this farce up, they ultimately end up forcing the black principal to resign. Like, they chase her out of the school so that they can keep this up because she doesn't agree with their plan. So it's, in some ways, I love that there are no straightforward villains or heroes. Like, everybody is actually quite bad, but that's where the comedy has bite.
Yeah, it's systemic.
Yes.
And the point when I realized that that's what the movie was taking aim at was when we meet the father, because I was expecting when Saoirse Ronan's Maria visits the family to try and talk to them about the assault that Danny has instigated against the SWAT of the school, the girl that wants to be the best. I'm expecting her to walk into some horrible, drug-addled place where she's verbally abused by terrible examples of parenthood. Nope. She meets a single dad who is a gig worker. He's a delivery driver. He barely has enough time to piss in a plastic bottle between deliveries. He is racked with guilt that he is not spending enough time with his son, worried about him to the point of tears.
Yep.
He is clearly a nice guy. So clearly the target of the film is late stage capitalism, is
Right.
where we are in a system that is rotting all of us to the core. And that's why you realize that the industrial apple cider factory visit at the beginning and then the images of the slowly rotting apples for the rest of the movie that we keep cutting back to is so poignant.
Yes.
Yes, it is a very clever movie, but don't let that fool you. It is just rip-roarously funny.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Like, we're not trying to be subtle with most of this. Like, I think there are going to be some people who are going to look at the end of the film and just say, oh, well, come on. This is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I would argue that's the point, right? Like, I think no one is safe in this film. Everybody is going to get a pot shot sort of taken at them, including Maria, which is why the casting of Saoirse Ronan is so good, because you think, well, she's fucking delightful. She's Saoirse Ronan. So the fact that she is capable of this, and then you see everyone down the line is also capable of it.
Yeah, they're all corruptible.
Yes.
Apart from the black principal who gets forced out.
Yes.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed both of these movies. So if we haven't spoiled them for you and you fancy checking them out, do seek out those two movies, Bad Apples and Good Boy, about children being locked up in basements.
Yes, and just for fun, I'll throw in a third film, which I did see that involves this, which is the Willem Dafoe, Corey Hawkins film, which I think by this point should be long available. But essentially, it's another class, race-oriented text about the rich inserting themselves into the lives of the less fortunate. So Willem Dafoe is an eccentric millionaire, maybe, question mark. He seems to be a man of many means who essentially pays to imprison himself in a black man's basement. And then you're meant to question, what exactly are his motives?
Right.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
A strong film as well.
Yeah, you enjoyed that one?
I did.
Okay, I'll keep an eye out for that one.
Oubliette, mini-sœur.